Okay. 3, 2, 1.
Hi everyone, my name is Alex. I'm the Aya Peer Facilitator, and Santa's not here this week, so I'm taking over her place.
Dun, 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 dun. Welcome back to Still We Persist. My name's Tamara, and I'm the Aya Women of Color Graduate Assistant. And as we do with every episode, we're going to start off with the land acknowledgement. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived here on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. What we now call Corvallis, Oregon, is located within the traditional homelands of the Marys River or Ampinefu Band of Kalapuya. Today, living descendants of these people are brought from the Confederated Tribes of Grand Ronde Community of Oregon and the Confederated Tribes of Siletz Indians. We pay respect to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us together here today. Awesome. Today we have Ridwana and Sierra with us, who are two fabulous women of color photographers that will also be doing some really neat secretive stuff with us for WoC Fest. So you'll get to see their work with Aya come in very, very soon.
We're excited.
Yeah, so excited. Literally, I feel like I've been dreaming about this day for 5 million years.
5 million?
Yeah, before I was even born. Just so you know, you've been in my dreams.
Okay.
But if you can just take some time and walk us through, how'd you find photography as your medium or your choice of art? And introduce yourselves.
You want to go first?
You can go first.
Okay, I feel like it's so hard to talk about photography without coming off as pretentious. You know what I mean? Because it's like, I don't know, like when I say the word photography, I'm like,
Yeah, I get that.
But I don't know, I think my sister got a camera for her graduation gift. She's 4 years older than me, so I was in like 7th or 8th grade, and she never used it, so I just kind of took it. And then there's like this forest in our neighborhood. I just go down there every day. You know, take those like close-up photos of the leaves on the ground, you know? And I was like, oh, this is good. This is
art.
I'm an artist, yeah. I wasn't. It was really bad, but I like printed it out, I put it on my walls.
Oh my God, I love that.
But yeah, and then I think I've gone through a lot of phases when it comes to just creativity and like doing different things. Like I gain a lot of interest in one specific like discipline or something, and I do it for like 4 months straight, and then I just lose interest and I just stop doing it, and then I find something else. And then taking photos is like the one thing that I've kind of done for a long time consistently, because there's so many ways to do it. Like I used to do it on my sister's camera, and then I started taking a lot of 35mm photos. I think like junior of high school, and it's just photos of my friends basically, which is like, I know like everyone's doing it, you know, like those fun savers, but it is fun. Yeah. So I'm like, I don't know. And then I've recently gotten into medium format photos, film photos, so it's like bigger and prettier and cooler. But yeah, I don't know, it's just, I think also I'm not good at directly using my hands to draw or like create things. Like I can't like do fine arts, I would say. And so like photos, you don't have to like have a stable hand, because my hand's shaky as fuck, you know? So I'm like, I just take photos and it works out or it doesn't, and there are a lot of things to do with it, and you can use it in so many ways for so many other forms of creation, so. Yeah.
And can you tell us her name?
Oh yeah.
There's like, a random person that walks up here.
I'm Ridwana. My pronouns are she, her, hers.
Awesome.
I'm Sierra. Get that out of the way. I use she, her pronouns. Yeah, so I got into photography. I think my grandparents bought me my first and only camera. It's an expensive hobby, so I haven't upgraded yet. But when I graduated high school, so that was like, what, five and a half years ago for me, I think. Yeah, and so I kind of started with like oh, I'm gonna take a picture of this flower, and it's so pretty, and like, oh my gosh, I'm an artist. But yeah, I realized quickly, like, after I would follow some photographers on Instagram that wasn't really the case, because they were doing this like amazing portraiture work and landscape work, and it just didn't reflect how I thought what an artist was, I guess, as being a photographer. So I was kind of discouraged and didn't really shoot that much coming into college, but I picked up my camera again, I think my sophomore year at OSU, and I kind of just like threw my friends like in these weird, like I experimented with paint and like string lights and like all this stuff. And like looking back on the photos, they are so awful. So awful. It was before I had like Photoshop and Lightroom too, so that makes it even worse. But yeah, I think what got me mostly into photography was just knowing that like I've come so far and there's still like a long ways to go with my art. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how you like fold your identity as a woman of color into your photography, whether it be in like the things that you choose to shoot, or maybe it's like shooting on film, or the way that you're editing? Like, how do you encompass who you are and your identities within your work?
I think just being a woman of color that takes photos is a lot to begin with, because if you look at like the photo community, like the famous or the bigger community, it's usually old white guys. Like I started taking film photos a few years ago, and I have to get them developed, and I go to the Shutterbug in Beaverton near my house, and everyone who works there is an old white guy, and they look at you like you don't know what you're doing, and they talk to you like that, and it's just so annoying, but you have to go there because it's like cheaper than everything else, and it's like, but I feel like just being a woman of color shoots is a big thing to start with, but then also, yeah, like shooting other women of color, other people of color, shooting other people's stories, stuff like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think, like I said, it's a really expensive hobby, which isn't really accessible to people of color or Black people. So I think just like existing in the space is like the way I hold my identity in it. I also don't shoot a lot of men. I mostly shoot women. That sounds really bad. I hate saying that.
It's fine. It doesn't sound bad at all.
We didn't vote for years, so you're good.
But yeah, and just like existing in the space, I think, really helps.
Yeah, I think just like existing and then being vocal about your identity as a woman of color is pretty big, because like even if you just look at movies or the entertainment industry, just seeing a woman of color or a person of color creating something and making it and being successful is like enough to a certain level. You know, it doesn't end there, of course, but like it's pretty big, at least for me.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay, so my question is, do you guys have like a particular setup that you like to use, or color, or you know, like any backdrop that you guys are like, oh, this is my favorite? Like, do you guys have a thing that you constantly go back to?
Oh, okay. I guess it's okay. Yeah. I don't really like my photos. I haven't done an actual shoot in a long time, which is why I'm so excited about this.
Yeah,
But sorry, was that a secret? Are we?
It's okay. They still don't know what this is.
Oh, okay.
Sorry, not sorry.
But yeah, I haven't done like an actual shoot with like a designated area and people before. So I usually just like take photos of whatever I see. I just keep it on me. And if I see it and it looks nice, I take it. If it doesn't end up looking good later on, then whatever. But I don't know. I don't think I want to reuse the same kind of backdrop that many times, because I think I would personally get bored of it or tired of it. But maybe I just haven't found the right one yet.
Yeah, I find myself shooting a lot in nature. I've tried the city thing. It's just really hard to get the lighting right, so. But yeah, I shoot a lot in nature. I also hate greens in my photos, so I like desaturate them all the way.
Green?
Which is weird because I shoot in nature. Yeah,
like,
but
How's that working for you?
I think it makes my photos a little moodier, and like everyone who knows me on a personal level knows I'm like that moody bitch. So it really fits like my personality too, which I really like. So. Yeah.
So what does that mean? I feel like you're using like photo terms, and I'm like, I don't
You're
know what the frig is saturation is.
I don't really know how to like describe saturation.
It's like how full or like bright a color is. Like
Yeah.
this is more saturated than this.
Oh,
Yeah.
how vibrant.
Vibrant, yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah.
You got
So
it.
are your greens like gray?
Yeah, they're like more of a grayish.
Mm.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
I get it.
Mm-hmm.
So
You're
what would
learning.
you all? Yeah, I was like, okay, I'm gonna go shoot. I remember it's so funny because like hearing you all talk about your first like photo things that you did.
Yeah.
I definitely remember when I was in high school, my dad bought like a fancy camera, and I was like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna become a photographer. Like
Yeah.
this is my jam. And we went to the aquarium, and the first picture, and I think it's still on my Facebook under like cool pics or something like
I
that.
have to go find it.
Yeah, I'll show it to you. Don't worry, I'm pretty proud. But like, it's of this fish, and it looks, in my personal opinion, I still go back to it. I'm like, damn, that was a good pic. Like that fish pic. But then I'm like hearing about your leaves. I'm like, fuck, maybe my fish is your leaf.
Dude, no, because like a leaf is so different from like a living, breathing animal. I feel like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm seeing the photos in my mind
Yeah.
now, and I wish I wouldn't.
Like I want
Can
to
you
burn all of them.
explain one? Describe to me one of
Okay.
your first images.
One was, there was like this leaf hanging from a tree, and then there was like a drop of water that's about to fall from the leaf, and I got it right before it fell, and I was like, this is so good. It was like way in the top right corner. It was like rule of thirds. I got it. This is it.
Yeah. That's funny.
I love that. What about for you?
One that I can think of, it wasn't like my first photo, but my first like photo shoot, I had like a bunch of string lights around my room, and I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna take them down and I'm gonna make my roommates hold them, and I'm gonna like play with like depth with them and stuff. And that was before I had like Lightroom and Photoshop, which is what I used to edit. And so the photo is just like this awful like orange pink color from the lights, and my friend at the time, like she doesn't have any experience modeling, which you don't need to have to be a good model, I guess. But yeah, I think just like thinking of it, I'm like cringing.
What would you do with the pictures then? Like, so you take them, and then like, is it just chilling on your camera forever? Or, like, where do they go?
Sometimes I'd be brave enough to put them on Instagram, and then I'd take them down like a week later after everyone was like, why are you eating plants? Because there was one photo where I was, wait, I can't, it's so bad. I got like, oh my god, this is, okay. It's like, I got a bunch of lavender, and I shoved it in my mouth, and I took a photo. And it was like based on this book quote from like some young adult book I read in 6th grade. And I was like, dude, I'm gonna talk to this author. We're gonna become best friends. She'll see my photo. She'll be like, work with me, design my next book cover. I'm like, this is my career now. And then I got bullied for it, and then I took it down. Not like actually bullied. I just got like hate comments from my friends. You know what I mean?
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. We don't bully here.
No, but like it's good that they bullied me, because otherwise I would have kept thinking that was good art.
Yeah, you
So,
gotta
like,
be open to that criticism, I guess.
Exactly.
So, so I guess going off of that, the modeling thing that you said really struck me, that like you don't necessarily have to be a model or know a lot about it to be good at modeling. What kinds of people do you guys, or like who do you find yourself wanting to photograph?
I don't know. I think I find, this is kind of creepy, but like I find people on Instagram, and then I like, oh, they're based in Corvallis, and then I kind of just like slide into their DMs and be like, hey, have you ever like modeled? Would you like to? I'm free this time. And they're like, oh yeah, I've never done it before, or like, yeah, I have experience. But like in the moment when I'm shooting, I always like give the disclosure like, okay, I'm gonna be really bossy and don't take it personal. But I'm always like, I always find myself being like, lift up your chin, part your mouth, or like all this stuff. Just like you have to like give them the tools to feel like they're modeling, I think. And just say like, you don't need to have experience to feel like a model, I guess.
Yeah, but also I feel like the fact that you're bossy makes someone who doesn't have modeling experience feel more comfortable in front of the camera, because then they don't have to feel like it's as much pressure on themselves to figure out how to do it.
Yeah, yeah, true.
Yeah. For me, I tend to photograph just my friends because we're both comfortable with each other. So I feel more just free to do whatever I want, and I don't feel like I have to, sorry to spit, I have to feel like I have to take the photo and it has to look good, you know, like I can take bad photos with this person and it won't be like, why did you do that? Why am I spending my time for bad photos, you know what I mean? But, and then they also feel comfortable enough in front of the camera because it's me, because they know me. But yeah, it's usually my friends, which I know I should do more of that, where I should like reach out to strangers and like work with more kinds of people. But you know, I just I like staying in my comfort zone at times, which is bad. But I'm working on it. 2020 is my year.
Yeah, no, I feel that. It's definitely hard. I feel like to step out and talk to new people. I'm like hella introverted and shy, and like this is out of my comfort zone 110%. And I can only imagine being like on the photographer end of things, like scroll, like DM, hi, do you want to like photo shoot with me? And like going through that process of reaching out to someone new and like what that looks like and how do you build that relationship and rapport. And then something, because like I'm not a photographer besides my fish photo, is like, do you send the images to the model afterwards, or like what does that look like? Like what is the relationship between model and photographer? Both like during the process of shooting, but then after the process of shooting?
Yeah, I guess in post, it usually takes me like a week to go through everything. I go through like an editing thing where it's like, I delete all the pictures where like their eyes are closed or it's blurry. And then I do like a post-processing phase where it's like I'm actually going in and editing like the colors and stuff. But yeah, after that, I send them to the model and I just say like, make sure you don't put like a filter because I already did that for you. Yeah, and I guess just making sure that they tag me in my work when they post it somewhere. Yeah, and they're always respectful. I've worked with a lot of great people, so.
Yeah, same here. It's just edit and then send the edited photos. Some people ask for unedited photos and then they don't get why we say no. It's really just because we don't want it to look like that was our work unedited, because it's not, you know, like we have to edit it to make it look how we want it to look. But in case you were ever wondering, that's why.
Yeah. So what is the process with like film? So do you edit film?
I want to get more into that, but as of late I haven't been. So there are different stocks of film, different kinds of film, and each one has different color grading already. So like I usually shoot, most people shoot I think on Portra 400, which is just like, it has really nice pastel colors and it's just really pretty, I think. And it's really good with skin tones, so that works well with what I like to take photos of. So like once you take the photo, you get it to the developer and they develop it for you. And then they cut your film into like strips if you ask them to, and then they scan them. So when you scan them, it's actually like you scan the negative, so then you get the actual photo onto a digital file. And then if you want to edit it, you can. I don't, because I'm lazy mostly. And also I just like the photos as they are because it's almost like it's edited for you. But yeah.
Cool. I did not know all of that. I thought like
I know
in
nothing
my
about
brain for some reason like film and Polaroid is the exact same thing. So I was like, how are you editing